We're not really learning anything new today. It's just how are we going to attack these problems that have more than two polynomials involved in them for multiplication. So when you're multiplying three binomials, okay, this would really work for any, if you have more than two polynomials, you would FOIL the first two. Well, we wouldn't FOIL them, we would multiply the first two. But basically, you can think of it this way. We need to just take them two at a time. So since we are working with binomials, we're going to FOIL. So we're going to FOIL the first two. Then we're going to use the rectangle or vertical method to multiply that product times the other binomial. Now, if our first product turns out to be a binomial, then we're going to have a binomial times another binomial again, and we can use FOIL. But I think in this first one, I don't think that's what ends up happening. So let's practice what would x minus 3, that to the third power, what would that look like as a multiplication problem? X to the third minus 3 to the third?
No.
Could we shortcut it like that? Michaela?
Didn't you just write it like side by side to each other?
Yeah. So we need to say this really means x minus 3 times itself, 3 factors of it, right? We cannot, I think we're going to find out after we do the actual multiplying, you cannot take the shortcut and do this. Take the x and give it the power of 3, take the negative 3 and give it the power of 3. That's when you have a product to a power, you can do that. This is not a product to a power, this is a difference to a power. There's subtraction going on, okay? So we have to make sure we can keep those things straight. So let's change this now to add the opposite. So x plus negative 3 for all of them. And we're not going to use FOIL with all 3 of them at the same time. We're not going to say, well, we'll take the first from all of them, then we'll take the outside of all of them, then we'll take the inside, the very inside of all of them, and then we'll take the last. No, we can't do that. We're going to do what I set up on the notes up above. I said we're going to multiply the first 2 using FOIL, okay? So just box around those 2. It doesn't mean we're going to forget about that third polynomial, x plus negative 3. We just have to let it sit for a little bit. Okay, go ahead and FOIL that, because you know how. You don't need to clean up this polynomial yet, this polynomial product we got, because we're going to work with it again, so we don't want it cleaned up. We want it to be add the opposite still. So we don't have to change it again. Okay? So we should, our O and our I step should be able to combine because they're like terms. And we should end up with a trinomial answer, right? So can we use FOIL now? We're going to move to our next multiplication. No, as soon as we see a trinomial, FOIL's out the window, isn't it? We cannot use it. So we're going to multiply that product, our x squared, put it in parentheses because it's a polynomial. It's the product of our first 2 binomials. And now we can't forget that we left that other binomial behind. So we have to bring it down and multiply it times that product we just got. Now, because we have a trinomial times the binomial, we cannot use FOIL. So go ahead and pick which one you're going to do. You can do it rectangle or you're going to do it vertical. And let's find the product of these 2 polynomials.
I'm doing it both ways. I'm gonna be slower than you guys, sorry. And a lot slower if I make mistakes. But the good news is I got the same answer both ways. Okay, cleaned up. Let's see if we agree. Okay, so cleaned up, I get x cubed minus 9x squared plus 27x minus 27. Do we agree? Yeah. Okay, in college algebra someday, they're going to teach you how to factor that. They're going to teach you how to take a polynomial like x cubed minus 9x squared plus 27x minus 27 and get it back to what did it start with as a multiplication problem. We don't have to do that in the next chapter. We don't have to do that. But we are, remember, we are going to learn how to unmultiply. Get it back to its multiplication problem. Okay, anybody have any questions about that one? Anywhere you want to disagree? So, did I have a show of hands that anybody got the same answer I did? Without having to just change yours? Okay, thanks. Okay, I'm feeling kind of verified then. Okay, let's go to the back side. How many polynomials are involved in this multiplication?
4.
Noah?
3.
3. Still just 3. How could we rewrite this to show what the multiplications would really be?
X minus 2y in parentheses. And then x plus 2y. And then x plus 2y again.
Okay, yeah. The x plus 2y is getting squared, so there's 2 factors of that. And then there's not a squared on our x minus 2y, so we don't need 2 of those. We just need the 1. And now we can FOIL that. Now, I'm going to make a suggestion to you that remember multiplication, you really can multiply in any order you want. Okay? See if you can get this to stick with you though. Okay? Be with me here. Did you notice they all start with the same thing? They all start with x's, right?
Yeah.
They all end with 2 y's. But a couple of them have addition and the other one has subtraction. Okay? So I'm going to suggest that before we even rename these for add the opposite, I want you to pay close attention to that these guys, with one having subtraction and the other one having addition, and they start with the same thing and they end with the same thing, you're going to end up with a binomial product. So if you multiply those 2 first, they happen to be in the first 2 in the problem, but if one of them was at the front and the other one was the third one, they can be rearranged. You know, factors can trade places. You would want to take the one that has subtraction in it times the one that has addition in it, because then you get a binomial, and then you can be able to do FOIL for both multiplications. Okay, so we're going to first rename this as x plus a negative 2y, and this is going to be x plus 2y like it is, and the other one x plus 2y. Okay, so even though this is the order they're in, we just talked about this would be a good choice to make, to have these 2 multiplied times each other first. Because they start with the same thing, end with the same thing, one had subtraction, one had addition. Okay, go ahead and FOIL it out and see. You should get a binomial answer. Remember, in algebra, constants first, alphabetical order. So 2xy.
what should end up happening in this is your middle terms, the O and the I, those two multiplications, I mean, not middle terms, the two middle multiplications, the O and the I step, what are they? What relationship do they have to each other? They're opposites, aren't they? Yeah. So because these guys are opposites, they actually become zero, don't they? So we don't really need them anymore. So now we say that we have the x squared plus the negative 4y squared. That's what we should end up with for this multiplication. Okay? No, I shouldn't have put a box around that. I don't like that. I'm going to undo that. Okay. That's our product. It's a polynomial, isn't it? Okay, now we need to, would you put an arrow? We need to bring down this one, x plus 2y. Okay, so can we FOIL? Yeah, we can FOIL because we have two what? Binomials. In the front we couldn't because our product from our first multiplication was a trinomial. So that threw FOIL out the window. But if you end up with a binomial and you're going to be multiplying times another binomial, then we can use FOIL again. You can use a rectangle or vertical method if you want. But I am hoping that you have found that FOIL is pretty efficient. So go ahead and do your multiplying however you're going to do it. It's a little trickier when there's two variables involved, doesn't it? You have to be really careful. So what's the result of the first multiplication, no matter how you're doing it?
X to the third.
X to the third power. I guess in vertical you couldn't say that. Okay. We're doing rectangle or we're doing FOIL. We should get x to the third after our first multiplication. Okay. How about the O step? What does that become?
2x to the second power y.
Yeah, the 2 comes first, x comes before y in the alphabet, and it's x squared and y. Okay, how about our I step? What's that become?
Negative 4xy to the second. So then we can combine those two.
Okay, what do you think? Can we combine them, class?
No,
Why not?
they're not the same.
They're not exactly the same. One has the squared on the x, the other has the squared on the y. They're not like terms, so no, they cannot be combined. Okay, what's our L step give us?
Negative y to the third.
Negative 8y to the third. Okay, so sometimes in FOIL, I said this in the beginning, typically the O and the I step will combine, but not always. Here's one of those times where they will not. So we just bring on all four of them, excuse me, with plus signs between them. And that's the first thing you want to do is make sure that you copy those down correctly, the four products that you got, and then you can clean it up. So we have x to the third plus 2x squared y minus 4xy squared minus 8y cubed. There's what our result should be, our product, our starting multiplication that we had. Yes, Noah?
Why don't we put the
You think it should go further, it should be moved up in the
Yeah.
progression?
So
Okay. Yes, can we talk, remember what I said, can we talk standard form when there's more than one variable?
No.
Right, so we cannot put this in standard form. So since we can't put it in standard form, typically what they do, this is typically how you will see the answer. X comes before Y in the alphabet, so they're gonna put the X's going in descending order. X cubed, X squared, X to the first power. No X's, X to the 0 power. And then what ends up happening with the other variable is it'll usually be ascending. 1, 2, 3, well, there'd be a 0 power here, right? Because there's no Y's. 0, 1, 2, 3. So we can't really talk standard form. So I can't say you put that in standard form. But I can say that yes, that can move up, but most likely they would not move it up. In an answer bank, they would show up like this, okay? That's a good question. A good observation. Anybody else? Okay, now let's get our shoe loose leaf paper to get started on homework.